She looked right at me over the cake, candles still flickering, and said it like she was ordering a drink. "Did you even bother to get me a real gift this year? Or did you just come home empty like always?" The room went quiet. Forks paused halfway to mouths. She smiled, small and mean, like she'd been saving that line. I felt something slip inside me, like a weld popping loose, and I knew this was the last time I'd ever sit across from her pretending it could get better. Funny thing is, I used to think she was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm 50 now. Been welding since I was 19. You get used to burns on your arms and the smell of scorched metal in your clothes. You stop feeling the weight of your toolbox after the first decade, but you don't get used to coming home and feeling like a stranger in your own kitchen. I met her when I was 30. She worked the front counter at the steel yard. Always had something smart to say to the guys who tried too hard. I liked that about her. She didn't put up with bullshit. Or maybe she just saved it all for me later. Back then, she'd make a pot of chili on Sundays and call me in from the garage when it was ready. She'd wrap leftovers in foil, scrawl my name across the top. We didn't have much, but it felt like ours. That was enough for me. We bought the house in the second year. 2 bedrooms, sloping porch, pipes that rattled when you flushed. I fixed what I could with my own hands, even when I didn't have a clue what I was doing. She'd stand over me with a glass of iced tea, telling me I should call a professional. I'd just grin and say I was saving us money. Some nights we'd sit out back in folding chairs, listening to the dogs bark down the road and the trucks on the highway. She'd lean her head on my shoulder. I can still feel the weight of it, like a promise I didn't know she'd break. It didn't change overnight. Little things at first. She stopped sitting out there with me. Stopped asking when I'd be home. Started leaving her dishes in the sink for days. Said she was tired, busy, stressed. I believed her. Hell, maybe I wanted to believe her. One night I got off a shutdown job early. Came home thinking I'd surprise her. She was on the couch, scrolling her phone. She looked up just long enough to say, "Dinner's in the microwave," before going back to whatever was on that screen. I stood there holding my welding helmet, feeling like a delivery man who'd knocked on the wrong door. I still tried. I'd bring her licorice she liked, slip a little card in her bag. She'd set it aside like junk mail. When I talked, she'd nod without looking up. "You ever feel like you're talking to a wall?" I started picking up extra shifts. Told myself it was for the money, but really, I just didn't want to be there. Didn't want to sit across from her, watching her sigh every time I opened my mouth. But the worst part was thinking it was all my fault. That if I could just be less tired, less quiet, more interesting, she'd look at me the way she used to. You think you can work your way back to something that's already gone cold. One night, I sat out in the truck until the cab went dark. Didn't want to go inside and feel that distance again. But there's only so long you can hide from your own life. So I went in, ate alone, went to bed beside someone who'd already turned away. Somewhere in all that silence, I stopped trying to fix it. Funny how you can live with someone so long you start ignoring the small signs. Like when she stopped saying my name. Just, "Hey," or nothing at all. Like I was a piece of furniture she got tired of dusting. When I came home late, she didn't ask why. Didn't care if I'd been working 18 hours or sitting in the truck just to breathe alone. Sometimes I'd stand in the kitchen doorway, still in my work boots, watching her pour herself a glass of wine. She'd set the bottle down hard, like I was interrupting her evening by existing. I tried to pretend it was stress. Maybe it was at first. But stress doesn't last years. I remember one Saturday morning. I was fixing the screen door. Hinge was half rotted out. I'd taken the day off to get it sorted. She came out, arms folded. "You're just going to leave those metal shavings all over the porch?" I looked up from the drill. "I'll clean it up." She made that noise in her throat. The one that meant she was done with the conversation. Turned around and went back inside, letting the door slam behind her. I sat there with my drill in my lap, wondering when trying to keep the house together started feeling like a waste of time. You ever think maybe you're the problem? That if you just tried a little harder, it'd go back to the way it was? I did. All the time. One evening, I brought home steaks. Thought I'd cook for us. I never cooked much, always let her handle it. Figured maybe she'd see I was making an effort. She came in, saw the meat on the counter. Didn't smile. Just asked, "Why bother? You'll just overcook them." I told her I'd try not to. She didn't say another word. Went upstairs, left me there holding a spatula like an idiot. When she came back down, she ate maybe 3 bites, pushed the plate away. I'm not hungry. I sat there finishing mine, feeling like I was chewing cardboard. That night, she didn't come to bed. Slept in the guest room. No explanation. Just closed the door. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, trying to remember the last time she touched me without flinching. It's a strange thing when the person you love stops seeing you. Not even with anger, just nothing at all. Like you disappeared and left your body behind to finish out the lease. There were moments I thought about leaving. More than I'll admit. But I stayed. Because it felt easier to be ignored than to start over at 50. I told myself it was loyalty. Maybe it was cowardice. One night, her sister called. I could hear her voice through the phone, tinny and sharp. They were talking about me. Has he always been this dull? Her sister asked, laughing. I stood in the hall, holding my work gloves, listening to my wife agree. He just stops trying after a while, she said. Like he thinks working all day is enough. Her sister cackled. Well, maybe if he had a personality. They both laughed. I went out to the garage and sat on the old stool by my workbench. There was a stain on the concrete where I dropped motor oil years ago. I stared at that stain a long time. Didn't go back inside until I was sure she'd hung up. Then came my birthday. I didn't expect a party. I'm not the type who wants a fuss. But she insisted. Said we should have people over. Maybe she wanted an audience. Her parents came. A couple of my work buddies. Her sister and her husband. She made a roast, set out a cake. Everything looked nice. I kept thinking maybe this was her way of trying too. Maybe she'd started to care again. Halfway through dinner, she poured herself another glass of wine. Looked around the table with that smile that never reached her eyes. Then she turned to me. So, she said, loud enough that everyone stopped talking. Did you actually get me something this year? Or did you just come home empty, like always? No one moved. You could have heard the clock ticking in the hall. Her sister smirked into her glass. I looked at my wife. Really looked. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't drunk. She was satisfied. I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out the small box I'd been carrying all day, set it on the table in front of her. Happy birthday, I said. My voice sounded calm. Too calm. She glanced at it, didn't open it, just shrugged. I don't know what I expected her to do. Cry, apologize, anything. She just looked bored. Someone cleared their throat. Her father, I think. No one else said a word. I got up, took my plate to the sink, washed it, dried my hands on the towel. When I came back, she was still sitting there, talking to her sister like nothing happened. That's when I knew. Knew she'd been gone a long time. I was just the last to notice. After that night, something settled between us like cold ash. She didn't apologize. Didn't mention it at all. The next morning, she was in the kitchen making coffee, humming to herself like nothing happened. I watched her from the doorway, trying to find the woman I'd met 20 years ago. Didn't see her anywhere. I still slept in our bed for a while. Habit, maybe. Some nights, she didn't come upstairs. I'd hear her moving around downstairs, the soft clink of her wine glass, the buzz of the TV. I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, thinking how easy it is to get used to being alone while someone else is in the house. One evening, I came home early from a shutdown job. My back was killing me from hauling equipment. I stepped inside and smelled garlic bread in the oven. For a second, my chest actually lifted, like maybe she'd made dinner for the two of us. She was at the table with her sister. They both looked up when I came in, then right back down at their plates. She didn't say hi, didn't ask how my day went, just kept talking like I was a draft she couldn't get rid of. I set my lunch pail on the counter, cleared my throat. No one looked up. Smells good, I said. My voice sounded too careful. Her sister raised an eyebrow. We're having a girls' night. Her tone said I was interrupting. I nodded, went back out to the truck, sat there with the door cracked open, breathing in the cold air. I could hear them laughing in the kitchen. I don't know how long I sat there. After that, I stopped coming home early. I'd find excuses to stay at work, even if it meant sweeping up after the younger guys. Better to be tired than to feel like you didn't belong in your own house. Weekends were worse. She used to sit on the porch with me, just watching the road. Now she'd stay inside, phone in her hand, eyes on the screen. If I asked her anything, she'd answer without looking up. You want to eat out tonight? I'm busy. Everything okay? She'd sigh. I'm fine. Fine. That word started to feel like a door slamming in my face. I tried to talk to her once about it. It was late, past midnight. I came downstairs, found her sitting in the dark living room, TV flickering blue on her face. Can we talk? I asked. She didn't turn her head. About what? About us. She pulled the blanket tighter around her. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know when we stopped being okay. She gave a little laugh, low and humorless. Maybe we never were. I stood there with my hands at my sides. Didn't know what to do with them. Didn't know what to do with myself. I almost asked her if there was someone else. But the truth was, it wouldn't have mattered. Whatever it was, it had already happened. As good as finished. I still kept trying. I bring home small things. A box of her favorite chocolates. A new kitchen towel with little blue flowers on it. She'd look at them like they were bills she didn't want to open. Sometimes she'd say thank you. Most times she'd just set them aside. One morning, I came downstairs and found the chocolates unopened, pushed to the far end of the counter. I picked them up, turned the box over in my hands, set them back down. Felt stupid for trying. Felt worse for still wanting to try. Work was the only place I still felt like I knew what I was doing. At least metal was honest. It bent or it didn't. It held or it broke. No pretending. The guys at the shop started to notice. They'd ask me to join them for a beer after shifts. I'd always say no. Didn't want to sit around talking about nothing while my house went quiet without me. One Friday, Dale, one of the younger welders, put a hand on my shoulder. You good, man? I forced a smile. Just tired. He looked at me for a second longer, like he didn't buy it. Then he nodded and walked away. It was the first time I realized people could see it on me. The hollow. The way I'd stopped laughing at their jokes. The way I never took off my gloves until the last minute, like I didn't want to feel the cold air on my skin. I remember the first time I felt pity from someone outside. It was a Saturday. I was at the grocery store, picking up eggs and bread. Ran into Ruth, a woman who used to be friends with my wife. She smiled, polite but a little sad. Hey, stranger. Hey, Ruth. I tried to sound normal. She glanced at the cart. Shopping alone today? I nodded. Yeah. She hesitated. Looked down at her hands. Listen. I don't mean to pry, but you okay? I opened my mouth to say yes, but nothing came out. Just air. She put a hand on my arm. If you ever need anything. I mumbled something, thanks, maybe, and walked away. My face felt hot, like I'd been caught doing something shameful. I stood in the freezer aisle, staring at bags of frozen peas, wondering when my life turned into something people pitted. After that, I stopped going to that store. Drove across town to one where no one knew me. It felt easier not to see that look in their eyes. I told myself it was fine, that all marriages hit rough spots, that if I just gave it time, she'd come around. But every day, she drifted further, and I got quieter. One night, I came home, and the porch light was out. I'd replaced that bulb a dozen times. This time, I didn't bother. Just unlocked the door in the dark. She was on the couch again. Didn't look up. Didn't say anything. I set my lunch pail down, washed my hands at the kitchen sink. The faucet dripped. A slow, steady tap that seemed louder than the TV. I stood there, watching the water bead and fall, thinking how easy it is to get used to small failures. How you start letting things slide, one by one, until there's nothing left to fix. After a while, I stopped bringing things home. No more chocolates or little gifts. No more asking if she wanted to eat out or take a drive. I'd just come in, hang up my jacket, wash my hands, and sit at the table until I figured out what to do with the rest of the evening. It was easier that way. Easier to pretend I didn't care. Easier to pretend the silence was comfortable. I think that's when she started noticing me less, if that was even possible. I was just there, like a lamp in the corner. Not worth moving, not worth throwing away. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me when she thought I couldn't see. Her face blank, no softness left. Just a kind of tired resentment. Like I was the bill she didn't want to pay. One Thursday, I came home to find her sitting at the kitchen table with that same glass of wine. The bottle was half empty. Her phone was face down, like she was taking a break from whoever she talked to when I wasn't around. She looked up as I set my lunch pail on the counter. Didn't say anything. Didn't have to. Her eyes said it all. You're nothing. You're in my way. Why are you still here? I opened the fridge. Nothing cooked? Didn't expect there would be. So I made a sandwich, 2 slices of bread, cold cuts, mustard. I sat across from her while I ate. She didn't look up once. Halfway through, she got up, took her glass, and left the room. Her footsteps soft on the stairs. I chewed and swallowed and tried to feel nothing. Saturdays used to be our day. We'd run errands, fix up the house, maybe have lunch somewhere cheap. Now I spent them in the garage, pretending to organize my tools. I'd line up my wrenches, wipe them down, put them back. Over and over. Hours would pass without me realizing. I liked the smell of oil, the feel of the cold steel in my hands. At least in that little space, nothing expected me to smile. Nothing wanted me to be more than I was. One evening, her friend Carla stopped by. They used to be close. I hadn't seen Carla in months. I was coming in from the garage, wiping my hands on a rag. Carla stood in the kitchen doorway, her coat still on. She looked surprised to see me. Hey, she said, voice careful. Hey, Carla. She looked past me, toward the living room where my wife sat with her phone. Her mouth tightened. You got a minute? She asked. I nodded, unsure what she wanted. We stepped out onto the porch. Cold air hit my face, clean and sharp. I almost thanked her just for that. She pulled her coat tighter. I don't know if it's my place, but I've been around long enough to see how things are. I didn't say anything, just waited. She took a breath. She talks about you sometimes, when you're not there. My stomach tightened. Yeah, Carla nodded, eyes on the dark yard. She says things that aren't fair. Like you're just this burden she has to drag around. I felt something cold settle in my chest. She's been saying that for a while. Years, Carla said quietly. At first I thought she was venting. But it's cruel, what she says. I swallowed. My throat felt tight. Like what? Carla hesitated. She tells people you have no ambition. That you come home smelling like a mechanic and expect a medal for working hard. I looked down at my hands. They were clean, but I could still feel the grit in my skin. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, Carla whispered. I just thought, you should know you're not crazy. You didn't imagine it. For a second, I almost laughed. I'd spent years wondering if it was all in my head. If I was too sensitive, too tired, too something. But hearing it out loud, from someone else, it made everything real. Final. We stood there a while, not talking. The porch boards creaked under our weight. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. I don't think she's happy, Carla said finally. But that's not your fault. I nodded. Didn't trust my voice. If you ever need someone to talk to, she said, you can call me. Thanks, I managed. She patted my arm, then went back inside. I stayed out there long after she left. The cold felt better than the house. After that, something in me let go. I stopped hoping she'd change. Stopped thinking if I just worked harder, it'd fix itself. When I came home, I did what I had to do. Ate, cleaned up, went to bed. No more pretending. One night, she came into the garage while I was sorting screws. I hadn't seen her step out. She leaned against the doorway, arms folded. You're out here a lot lately, she said. I didn't look up. Yeah. Silence. Then, are you avoiding me? I set down the jar of screws. Does it matter? She shifted her weight. I'm just saying, it's pathetic, sitting out here all the time. I met her eyes then. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. Didn't feel anything. If that's what you think, I said, then maybe you should leave. She blinked. Didn't expect me to say it. Didn't expect me to mean it. I'm not going anywhere, she said, voice flat. I nodded. Turned back to my workbench. She waited a while, like she thought I'd take it back. When I didn't, she sighed and walked away. I listened to her footsteps fading down the hall. Felt a strange kind of relief. Like I'd finally admitted something to myself. After that, we barely spoke. Days passed without more than a word. It was almost peaceful. Almost. But some nights, lying in bed, I'd think about how long I'd let it go on. How I'd let myself shrink, year after year, just to keep her from walking out. I wondered if she'd ever love me at all. Or if I was just the easiest option. Someone who wouldn't leave first. Maybe that's why she picked me. Because she knew I'd stay, even when I shouldn't. One morning, I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Really looked. Gray in my beard, lines around my eyes. A man who'd worked his whole life just to feel unneeded. I touched the glass. Felt cold under my fingertips. And I knew it was time to stop pretending. Time to stop carrying something that was already dead. I started planning my exit on a Tuesday. Didn't tell her. Didn't even let myself think about it too loud. Just small steps. Quiet steps. I cleared out a shelf in the garage for my things. Packed away tools I didn't want her touching. Started putting aside a little extra cash from every paycheck. Not a lot, just enough. Some nights I lay awake, going over it in my head. What I'd say, how I'd say it, what I'd leave behind. I wasn't angry anymore. Not exactly. I was tired. And tired is worse. Tired means you've stopped hoping. One morning, she came down to the kitchen in her robe, hair still wet from the shower. I was sitting at the table with my coffee. The same mug I'd used for 20 years. World's okayest husband. She'd given it to me as a joke our first Christmas. Funny how things come around. She didn't look at me when she poured her coffee. Didn't look at me when she sat down. We sat there in the kind of silence that feels heavy, like bad weather. I watched the steam rise from my cup. Watched her thumb scroll across her phone. And I knew it was time. I spent that week sorting things out. Paid off the bills I could. Cleared my name off anything joint. Called my brother. Asked if his spare room was still open. He said yes, no questions. I think he'd been waiting for that call for years. Friday night. I came home later than usual. The porch light was still out. Didn't matter anymore. I unlocked the door, stepped inside. She was on the couch, same spot as always. Didn't look up. I set my lunch pail down, took a deep breath. Can we talk? I asked. Her head lifted, brows drawn together. About what? About us. She sighed, like it cost her something. Again. No, I said. For the last time. That got her attention. She set her phone down, sat up straighter. I'm moving out, I said. Tonight. She blinked. What? I've already packed what I need. The rest can stay. Her mouth opened, then closed. You're serious? Yeah. After everything, you're just leaving? I shook my head. No, I'm not leaving. I met her eyes, felt steady. You are. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. What the hell is that supposed to mean? It means this house is in my name. You've made it clear you don't want to be here with me. So I'm giving you what you wanted. She stood up, her voice rising. You can't just throw me out. I kept my tone calm. You'll have time to sort yourself out. A month. I'll cover the bills till then. After that, it's yours to figure out. Her face flushed red. Are you serious right now? I've never been more serious. She looked around the room, like she was searching for something to hold on to. But there was nothing. Just two people who didn't love each other anymore. Her voice dropped. So that's it. You're just done. I nodded. Yeah. Silence settled between us. Heavy, final. She sat back down, staring at the floor. I watched her shoulders rise and fall. For a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered every night I'd spent wondering why I wasn't enough. Every time she looked through me. Every time she laughed behind my back. And I felt nothing. Not hate. Not relief. Just empty. I went upstairs, grabbed the last of my clothes. Put them in the duffel bag. Pulled my old welding jacket from the closet. It still smelled like smoke and steel. Somehow, that made me feel more like myself than I had in years. When I came back down, she was still sitting there. She didn't look up. I set my keys on the table. The truck's staying. I'll get another. You'll need it to get around. She didn't answer. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wallet. Took out the card I'd carried since we got married. Her emergency contact. Tore it in half. Set it beside the keys. That was it. That was all there was left between us. At the door, I turned back. She finally met my eyes. Hers were wet. Mine were dry. Take care, I said. She opened her mouth, but no words came. I closed the door behind me. Didn't look back. The night air hit me like a slap. Cold. Clean. Real. I walked to the truck. Set my bag in the back. Sat behind the wheel. For a minute, I just gripped the steering wheel, feeling the leather under my palms. Then I started the engine. Pulled away from the curb. Didn't feel triumphant. Didn't feel broken. Just done. Halfway down the block, I stopped. Rolled down the window. Looked back at the house. The porch light was still out. The curtains still drawn. It didn't feel like my home anymore. Maybe it never had. I drove on. I slept at my brother's place that night. His spare room smelled like paint and old boxes. He didn't ask me anything. Just nodded when I set my bag down. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Felt the strangest thing. Peace. Not happiness. Not yet. But peace. Next morning, my phone buzzed. 10 missed calls from her. 3 voicemails. Didn't listen to any of them. Deleted them all. I didn't need to hear excuses or regrets. Didn't need to be pulled back into the same old script. I set the phone face down on the nightstand. Went to the kitchen, poured a cup of coffee. My brother was at the table, reading the paper. He looked up, nodded. Good sleep. Better than I've had in years. He didn't smile, but his eyes softened. About damn time. I sat across from him. Sipped the coffee. It tasted like freedom. Later that day, I drove back to the house one last time. Didn't go inside. Just parked across the street. She wasn't home. Her car was gone. I sat there for a while, watching the place. The paint peeling near the gutters. The porch steps sagging. All the little things I tried to fix to make her stay. I realized I didn't care anymore. Didn't care who she called. Didn't care what she told people. Didn't care if she cried. It wasn't my problem. Not anymore. I drove away without looking back. It was a week before she showed up. I wasn't surprised. People don't believe you'll really leave until you're already gone. I was sitting in my brother's kitchen, fixing a broken latch on one of his cabinet doors. Something small to keep my hands busy. The knock on the door was soft, like she wasn't sure she wanted me to hear it. My brother looked up from the table. You want me to get that? No, I said. I set the screwdriver down, wiped my palms on my jeans. When I opened the door, she was standing there in a coat too thin for the weather. Her hair pulled back in a hurry. Eyes red. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside. She walked past me into the living room, looking around like she'd never seen it before. I didn't offer her a seat. Didn't offer her coffee. Just waited. She turned to face me. Her hands were twisting together. She looked small. I don't even know where to start, she said. Start anywhere, I said. My voice sounded calm, detached. She swallowed. I've been thinking. About everything. About us. I nodded. Didn't say anything. I was wrong, she whispered. Her eyes brimmed, but no tears fell yet. I thought I wanted something different. Something more. But I was stupid. I just looked at her. Waited. I didn't see how good I had it, she went on, voice cracking. You were always there. You worked so hard. You never complained. I stayed silent. She took a step closer. I was cruel. I know that. I don't even recognize the person I became. Still, I didn't say a word. A tear finally slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away. I miss you, she said, her voice shaking. I miss us. Another step. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. The same one she used to wear when things were good. I love you, she whispered. Her hand lifted, like she was going to touch my chest. Then she stopped. I love you, she said again. I didn't know how to say it before. I looked at her hand, looked at her face, and felt nothing but a dull tiredness. You don't love me, I said quietly. You love the idea of me. The idea that I'd stay no matter what. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I did stay, I went on. Longer than I should have. Longer than was good for either of us. I know, she whispered. Her voice broke. I know, and I'm sorry. I'll do anything to fix this. Anything. I believed she meant it. In that moment, she probably did. But it didn't matter. Too many nights had passed with her eyes on the TV instead of me. Too many mornings where she couldn't be bothered to say my name. It was over long before I walked out. She just hadn't caught up yet. I shook my head. It's done. Her lip trembled. Please. Just give me another chance. We can start over. I thought about the years I'd spent hoping for exactly this. For her to say she wanted me. For her to see me. And now that she was saying it, all I felt was a kind of sad relief. Because I didn't have to want it anymore. I'm not angry, I said. I'm not trying to hurt you. Then why? She whispered. Why can't you just try? I looked her in the eye. Because you can't build a house back up when the foundation is already rotted through. Because some things don't get fixed. Because I don't belong to you anymore. But I didn't say any of that. I just said, because I'm done. Her shoulders slumped. She covered her face with her hands. I watched her cry, and it felt like watching someone I barely knew. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I believe that, too. Didn't change anything. You should go, I said softly. She lowered her hands. Mascara streaked under her eyes. Please, she whispered again. One more chance. I shook my head. No. She looked around the room one last time, as if trying to find something familiar to hold on to. There was nothing. I stepped back to give her space to walk out. She did. Slowly. Like every step hurt. At the door, she turned. Her eyes searched mine. Is there really nothing left? I thought about it. About the years. The small moments that used to feel like everything. The way it had all slipped away one day at a time. No, I said. There's nothing left. She closed her eyes. Nodded. Then she left. Closed the door behind her. I listened to her footsteps on the porch. To the soft click of her car door. To the engine starting. Then nothing. Just quiet. I stood there for a long time, staring at the closed door. Waiting for the ache to come. It didn't. That night, I sat out back with a cup of coffee. My brother had gone to bed. The yard was dark. Except for the porch light, he always kept working. I thought about everything I'd lost. Everything I'd given. And I didn't feel regret. Just a quiet understanding. Some people will only ever love you when you're too tired to leave. And some of us take too long to stand up. But when you finally do, there's no going back. I took a long sip of coffee. Felt the warmth settle in my chest. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not happy. Not yet. But free. And that was enough.